Are you mocking us? What is this amount? One day, I kept getting calls from my parents, and when I answered the phone, they suddenly yelled at me. I couldn't understand what my father was saying, and I was confused. When I asked about it, it turned out they were upset about the amount of money being sent. My sister Allie was sending as much as $4,000 every month, but they thought my contribution was only 50 cents. 50 cents. That's not right. I am sending $4,000 every month properly. I asserted them. What? Don't lie. Allie, being a model, earns more than you and has been sending us $4,000 each month. I am really disappointed in you. Allie is so smart. My father expressed his dissatisfaction. My mother also criticized me. Are you just enjoying living alone and spending money as you please? Why don't you learn a bit from your sister? She sends us so much money she's earned. You don't care about us at all, she said with a sigh. As usual, my parents were more lenient with my sister. I couldn't understand what my parents were saying and was bewildered. Overwhelmed with sadness, I couldn't find the words to speak. Why do they think I am sending only 50 cents? Despite my dissatisfaction, I decided to follow my parents' words and stop sending money for a while. I am Violet, a 28-year-old employee at a food processing company. There is a 5-year age gap between my sister and me. Allie has had the face of an actress since she was born. Everyone who passed by was captivated by her appearance and looked back at her several times. Adults invariably praised her, saying, "I have never seen such a cute child." In contrast, I had a more ordinary appearance, so adults often laughed when comparing us, saying, "Violet's face is so plain." My parents believed that Allie would definitely succeed as an actress or model in the future and adored her incredibly. On the other hand, their attitude towards me was significantly different, and this disparity had been clear since we were young. When I was in elementary school, I wore old clothes given to us by neighbors, while Allie's clothes were always new and reflected the latest trends. Furthermore, I had never taken any lessons, but Allie would start taking them as soon as she expressed interest in anything. Spoiled from such treatment, Allie became more and more overbearing. "I don't have to lend my things to you, Violet, but it's okay for me to use your things," she said, and took away my cherished stationery one by one. Even when I complained, my parents always defended her, saying, "Allie is still a child, forgive her." Even when Allie was wrong, they would say, "Forgive her, Violet, you are the older sister," dismissing my opinion easily and not listening to me properly. I was fed up with Allie's cunning ways. Yet, our parents never scolded Allie. I sometimes felt depressed by my parents' blatant favoritism towards my sister, but I resigned myself to accept it. When I was in the upper grades of elementary school, Allie said she wanted her own room. Everyone knew that Allie wouldn't give up until she got her way, so my parents told me, "Violet, move to the living room where our grandparents' portraits are. You don't have many clothes, and it's enough if you can sleep." Reluctantly, I took my bedding to the living room and decided to sleep there. There were pictures of my grandparents on the shelf in the living room, both of whom had passed away early. My grandparents died shortly after Allie was born. Unlike my parents, my grandparents had cherished me very much when I was young. It was my grandfather who had chosen my name. The origin of the name Violet is because I was born during the spring violet season and my grandfather loved violets very much. When I was young, I often sat on my grandfather's lap. The reason was that it was very comfortable and I felt enveloped in warmth. I remember grandfather saying, "Violet, no matter how hard things are, you can always overcome them. After that, happiness will come again, just like violets blooming." Such memories suddenly came to mind. Even afterwards, my parents' treatment of me differed significantly from that of my sister Allie, and I never felt comfortable at home. As I grew older, I developed a dream of becoming a school nurse. I talked to my parents about wanting to take the university entrance exams to fulfill my dream. "There's no way we have the money to send you to university. Get a job after you graduate from high school," they said. "Violet, you are the older sister. Think about Allie too. We need to save money for Allie's sake." My parents dismissed my aspirations without any consideration, making it unthinkable for me to go to university. However, our family was not particularly poor. Financial-wise, I think we were an average household. Considering Allie's future, my parents made do with the bare minimum for me, and after high school, I got a job while Allie went on to a prestigious university. After graduating high school, I started working at a small to medium-sized company 3 stations away from home, and at that time, I decided to move out of my parents' house. I had hoped to stay at home and save money until I got married, but I knew that if I stayed, I would continue to feel marginalized. Therefore, I decided to live in a reasonably priced studio apartment close to my company. Living alone was very comfortable since my parents' house was not a relaxing place for me. Meanwhile, Allie, carrying all my parents' hopes, continued to live at home after graduating from university and worked as a model. She was scouted by a talent agency while shopping with friends. My parents were thrilled that Allie had joined a talent agency, and bragging about it became a part of their daily routine. One day, Allie called me, talking about expressing her gratitude to our parents. "All that we sisters have achieved is thanks to Dad and Mom. From now on, let's repay them for all they've done for raising us," Allie said cheerfully, energetically. It seems that Allie, who used to only care about herself, has really grown up. I've been thinking about what we can do for Mom and Dad. After all, money might be the most helpful. How about giving them about $4,000 a month? $4,000? Isn't that a lot? I was taken aback by the amount suggested. Modeling must really pay well. I think Mom and Dad would be surprised if they got that much money from us. I want to surprise them soon, so let's start this month. Although I was a bit skeptical, I had heard that our parents were in debt because of us. They said they were struggling with the debt, so I decided to accept Allie's suggestion. However, I was barely making ends meet myself. To send $4,000, I would have to dip into my savings. My salary was about $3,000. Even if I lived on $1,000, I would still be $2,000 short. Therefore, I decided to work as a security guard at a construction site on weekends. The pay was decent, but the work at the site was very physically demanding. In summer, I had to endure the severe heat, and in winter, the bitter cold. I thought about quitting many times. However, the people I worked with unexpectedly treated me kindly, often buying me drinks and food because they thought I was doing well. And to save on food expenses, I tried to limit eating out as much as possible and kept unnecessary spending down. But $4,000 was still far off. How could I earn more money? All right, let's get a certification. After much thought, I devoted myself to studying for a certification, sparing no time for sleep. Days of being chased by work and studies hurried by. At that time, I received a call from my parents. Busy as I was, I couldn't answer right away, and they left several missed calls. "Sorry I couldn't pick up the phone sooner. Did something happen?" The first words that hit me when I finally answered the phone were, "You are horrible. What do you think of us?" I could hear my father's angry voice on the other end of the phone. Behind him, I could also hear my mother agreeing, saying, "Really?" I had no idea why they were so angry. "Are you mocking us? What is this amount? What do you mean? Are you talking about the money I send?" I was confused and couldn't understand what they wanted to say. "Do you know how much Allie is sending? $4,000. And you send just 50 cents. Are you mocking us?" My father's shout echoed. "That's impossible. I am sending $4,000 every month properly," I asserted strongly, surprised by my father's words. "What? Don't lie. Allie earns more than you from her modeling work, so she's the one sending us $4,000 every month. I'm really disappointed in you. Allie is so smart." My father expressed his dissatisfaction. My mother also criticized me. "Are you just enjoying living alone and spending money as you please? Why don't you learn a bit from your sister? She sends us so much money she's earned. You don't care about us at all," she said with a sigh. What's going on? I couldn't understand what my parents were saying and was just confused. Overwhelmed with sadness, I couldn't say anything more. Previously, Allie had suggested, "Since it's from both of us, let's keep it a secret and use the name Rainbow when we send the money." At that time, I didn't know that Allie's stage name was Rain, and it turned out that the name used for sending 50 cents was under my name, Violet. My parents believed that Allie was the one depositing $4,000, and before I could explain, they yelled, "We don't need such a mocking amount of 50 cents from you," and hung up the phone. I felt very bitter towards Allie for setting me up. That day, I couldn't sleep at all and felt complex emotions. I was wondering whether I should continue sending money in this situation. So I decided to talk to my high school friend, Nina, who works at a consulting firm. Nina was very capable at her job and has always been a reliable and justice-minded woman since high school. She is very trustworthy because she gives frank opinions when consulted. Fortunately, her workplace was nearby, and we were able to talk over lunch during our break. I was surprised when you said you needed to talk all of a sudden. What happened? She said, staring at my face. I want to talk about something concerning my family. I began to tell her about the recent events. After listening to my story while nodding, Nina asked me, "Are your parents really struggling with money? Aren't they still in their 50s?" She was also astonished by the amount of $4,000. It seems they have debts. It's money spent on us, and my sister Allie suggested that we send money to our parents to show our gratitude. Nina looked surprised and comforted me, saying, "You say it's money spent on both of you, but you didn't even go to university, right? Isn't it mostly money spent on Allie? And isn't your dad working too? There's no need to send $4,000. It's unimaginable that they suddenly need $4,000 when they have been living fine so far. If they say your contribution is just 50 cents, why not stop the payments like your parents suggested?" I agreed with Nina's advice. "You're too kind, Violet. You shouldn't let yourself be pushed around." Nina's words resonated with me. What am I to my family? I should never just do as my family says. I reminded myself. 2 months later, my phone wouldn't stop ringing from the morning. Thinking it was too persistent, I answered the phone, and Allie was angry. "Why haven't you been answering the phone all morning? And why did you stop sending money on your own? What were you thinking?" Allie shouted, her anger apparent. "I'm already overwhelmed with my own life." I was told that our parents were struggling because suddenly there was no $4,000 coming in. But I knew that the $4,000 was turning into Allie's pride and our parents' wasteful spending. Actually, Nina and a friend of Allie's were acquaintances, and I had heard this from Nina. Nina has a wide network and had been asking around for my sake. I always suspected there was something off. I also heard that Allie spends quite a bit on clothes and cosmetics. Nina told me. Hearing this from Nina, anger welled up inside me. Even though I was cutting back on my expenses and working part-time, it seems Allie had been telling her friends. My big sister is my source of funds, so I rely on her money. Lately, I've been struggling because I don't have money from my sister. I might have to cut back on facials and cosmetics for a while. Then, I found out that my mother was buying luxury brands and my father was not going to work but gambling instead. It felt ridiculous to support my parents' and sister's wasteful lives with my money. Do you think I don't know? Dad is working, so my money isn't needed, right? I declared. A week passed, I've heard everything. Next, my parents came to me. The $4,000 payments had stopped, and it seems Allie had told them the truth when they called her. I can't afford such money. She had apparently revealed the truth through tears. Allie had been telling our parents that she was earning a high income as a model, but in reality, she was not making any money at all and was a burden to the agency. Allie only worked as a model occasionally. Though cute, she had no talent in singing or dancing, and nothing particularly outstanding, which made it difficult for her to succeed in the entertainment industry. Her jobs were low-paying, such as modeling for inexpensive online shopping catalogs. This came to be known by our parents, who were furious. We've been strict with Allie, you don't worry, and continue sending money as before. Of course, there was no apology for accusing me of lying. We've prepared for 2 months, so please deposit it when you can. You are reliable, after all. My parents brazenly demanded the 2 months of payments I had stopped. Their greed knew no boundaries. I heard from Allie that there was some debt. Is that true? I asked something I had been wondering about for a while. Debt? There's no way. We covered the tuition with your grandparents' inheritance, my father coldly stated. Allie's claims about our parents having debt and needing money were false. We just need a bit more for shopping since your father's salary isn't enough, my mother, said Namai Noland. It was clear that my parents had enough money for their lifestyle, and they didn't need mine. Father's income should be enough. Besides, why doesn't Allie get a full-time job somewhere? When I firmly said this, my father retorted, Is that how you talk to your own parents? I didn't raise a daughter to act like this. My mother followed, we don't need a daughter like you. My parents looked displeased. If you're going to be like that, we'll just use the savings your grandfather left for you. You're no longer part of this family. Shockingly, my parents said they would use the money my grandfather had left for me. Do as you like. But from now on, don't contact me again. I thought about how I didn't want to be treated conveniently by my parents and Allie anymore. When the two of them left, tears spilled out. What was my existence to my family? Then 2 months passed, and suddenly the doorbell rang. There were my parents and Allie at the door. I thought I would never see them again, but I reluctantly opened the door. I was puzzled by the poor appearance of my parents and Allie, and they too were surprised by my appearance. What's with that look? With puzzled faces, my parents and Allie asked me, since I had become prettier and was wearing more expensive items than before. I had diligently studied and obtained a small business consultant certification. Thanks to the certification, my salary improved at the new job Nina had introduced me to. I'm leading a fulfilling day-to-day life as a team leader. The company is a bit far, so I'm planning to move to an apartment nearby. I explained calmly. Before you indulge in such luxuries, give us some money, they demanded. Are you planning to abandon your struggling family? Just lend us some money, they pleaded. The three of them were saying whatever they wanted recklessly. Disgusted with my parents and Allie, who started demanding money as soon as they knew my income had increased, I said, with Dad's and Allie's income, you can live a luxurious life. In reality, Allie hardly had any work. The modeling world is tough. What do you know, big sister? Allie appealed with a voice on the verge of tears. The radiant appearance she once had was nowhere to be found. Allie, who was struggling with her job, was scouted by another talent agency that thought she was suited to be an actress. She decided to borrow money from her parents and move to the new agency. However, a large amount of money was required to join this agency, and her father even invested his early retirement severance pay, but it turned out to be a scam. After paying the money, suddenly no one from the agency could be contacted anymore. Surprisingly, no formal contract had been signed. I was dumbfounded by such reckless behavior. Before you come to me, go to the police, I advised. Right after that, someone from a consumer finance company came. Are you family? It seemed they had followed me. I found out that my parents and sister had borrowed a large amount of money aiming for a windfall with her acting career. Moreover, Allie was relieving stress at a nightclub. As a result, they were completely out of money. Despite having no money, my parents pursued their dreams and gambled, ultimately ending up with nothing. I was thoroughly dismayed by their actions. In response to the question from the consumer finance person, I declared, I don't know these people at all. I have nothing to do with them, and I left the scene. Later, my parents filed for bankruptcy and their debt was temporarily gone. They sold the house and now live in an old apartment. Both of my parents got jobs through a temporary agency and seem to be managing somehow. Interestingly, the construction site where I used to work part-time was apparently my father's new dispatch destination. I will be in your care starting today. Ah, it's the old man. Help me out. There used to be a young lady here before, but she quit. She worked hard and earned money to send to her parents. I'd like to see the face of parents who make their daughter work on a construction site. My father's face stiffened. Allie gave up modeling and entered the nightlife, but her self-centered personality led to her being unwelcome by customers, and she was fired from nightclubs and lounges one after another, eventually managing to earn her living expenses at a small bar. Her appearance has changed drastically due to increased drinking. Among the regulars at the bar, the story that Allie was once a model seems like a mere illusion. A model? Who are you kidding? Look in the mirror. She is mocked for how much her body has changed. I have cut ties with my parents and sister, and I am enjoying my life. 5 years have passed since then, and I was attending Nina's wedding. The wedding was held in a chapel in Miami overlooking the sea. In front of me, the blue sea and sky stretched out. The atmosphere was filled with a sense of openness. Next to Nina, her husband stood smiling with a solid build. A new life was growing between them. Nina seemed to have been focusing on her work, but she had been dating a colleague. I achieve everything I want on my own. I discard what I don't need quickly. Violet, you should also face your feelings, Nina said with a smile, shining brighter than ever. Her husband, standing beside her, also laughed jokingly. Don't throw me away. Okay. I'm really grateful to you, Nina. Be happy. I responded with the biggest smile I could muster. Nina's wedding was a special day for her, the woman who gave me freedom, so I wholeheartedly celebrated with gratitude. As the wedding was drawing to a close, a man appeared at the venue, breathing heavily. Apparently, he was a friend of the bride and groom. Nina introduced him as Nicholas, and his nickname was Nick. He was tall, well-built, and had a very charming smile when he laughed. He apparently runs an architectural firm as the representative. I wanted to introduce Nick to you, Violet. Your personalities are almost the same, aren't they? Nina said, laughing at her own joke. Finding Nina's laughter amusing, both Nick and I ended up laughing together. Afterward, Nick and I hit it off in conversation and decided to go out for a meal together. I feel like violets are blooming inside me. From now on, I plan to enjoy both work and love, and live life to the fullest. Grandpa, please keep on watching over me from the sky. I'll make sure to blossom fully.